Hive and the Power Hour with Alan Goldberg and his crew. My name is Don Warner from WarnerEntertainment.com. We encourage you to visit us at our website and see over 4,000 different martial arts media products, including videos, DVDs, books, and lots more. That's www.warnerentertainment.com, spelled www.warrener entertainment.com. And thank you very much.
All right, welcome to the Action Martial Arts Power Hour. This is Alan Goldberg's brainchild. He brings the best of the best to the show, to you each and every week. And let's bring on Alan. Alan, the floor is yours. Let the people know what's going on.
Welcome back to the Power Hour. How are you, everybody? Here we are again. I think it's a woman's conspiracy right now. Last week we had Kathy Longon, and we have Christine Bannon on this time. And unfortunately, we can't get our mails in except a few of us are here. But we're working on that for next week anyway, but there's some good things coming up. Got a lot of great people that have been contacting me to come on the show. In fact, I just spoke to Steve Paulson from the IKF. He wants to come on the show and talk about what they're doing. Also, we want to talk about something. Sam Kwok, our buddy, it's his birthday yesterday. We tried to get him on the show, but he's in London right now and he's running around. But it is his birthday yesterday. We want to also give great respect to our friend Bannon-Rodrigues. Okay. He just had a hip. Christine will tell us a little more when she's on, but Don had his hip replaced. He's doing well, and we wish him the best. And just another shout out to our buddy Michael DePasquale, always in our prayers. He's doing better and better every time I speak to him. So, we had him on a couple of weeks ago, and he sounded great, actually. So we're very good. But one thing I got to get to, I think it's the biggest thing right now on Facebook. Okay? I put a little something up 2 weeks ago. And 2 weeks ago, I put a little something up. Let's bring everyone in.
Yeah, I was going to suggest that. Bring everyone in. Vinny, you're coming in.
In case people have things
coming in. And Kempo Joe, Wikipedia Joe, you're on. We're all together now.
Okay. Well, I put a little something up, and I always put a little. I have a new page called the Action Power Hour podcast, and I put us a little something up about how about if we would bring our buddy Frank Dukes in, what would happen? And we got a tremendous amount of people came, and 99 and 9/10 of them wanted Frank on for various reasons or other reasons. We're not going to talk bad about him on the show or anything. We'll let your decisions about the man be what they are. But our good friend and a very dear brother of mine, on the Dragon Wilson, put a little something up and just marked up his record. Didn't say anything negative or bad about it. And Don just put it up, and that was it. And Don, and I spoke about it. Don said he'd love to come on the show if Dukes is on. And Dukes wound out attacking Don and saying about his record. And his record wasn't this, and he wasn't a real movie star or an actor. Well, Don is probably one of the better kickboxers that has ever come along, my opinion, and
if
not
I
mine
can
only.
Something,
Yeah.
Okay. Honestly, I can see a lot of videos of Don and his belts and and movies and DVDs and all this stuff. I can see this stuff. I can't see phantom stuff. I can see that stuff as tangible as in my face.
Well, you can watch Van Damme, but it's not the same anyway. But Don is the real deal. I was Don's cornerman at one fight, and I was also Don's promoter for one fight. So I've seen Don fight other times, and I've been around Don for years now, probably close to 30 years. We've got very friendly, me, him, his brother, even I've met his mother and people in the family. And Don is a gentleman, one of the sweetest, nicest guys you ever want to deal with. I know Christine has had Don at your tournament also a few times.
Yes.
Over the years. And Don's great. So Frank Dukes decided to tear into Don. The wrong thing to do. what happened within the next 2 days, probably 3 days now, Don got over 1,200 people wrote in and just tore apart Frank Dukes. I mean, I think there's one or two people to something nice, but thought Frank Dukes was Jean-Claude Van Damme. So there was a little bit of mistake there. But people came on, and it was just a trash fest, including myself.
How can you go and debate his record? How can you debate what he was?
Oh, 100%. And not only debate who he was. Listen, martial artists have a hard time getting along to be on the A-list in the movie industry.
Mm-hmm.
It's not happening so easy, okay? It's not happening. So if Don was doing all B movies all these years, that's because that's what the industry produced.
But he was doing movies, right?
Right. You weren't getting into the main theaters because you weren't Tom Cruise or you weren't some other big name. And if Don was doing movies, Don did some great movies, and he was consistent. He always had something in the pot, boiling or doing whatever. I actually was in 2 of his movies also over the years.
I mean, maybe if Don wrote some fiction, maybe he would be, but that's a different story, right?
Yeah. But Don is a guy, and Don has gotten much better in acting and doing things over the years. I was in his last movie. We did Paying Mr. McGetty, and I had a ball. I mean, it was a great movie, and we're talking about doing something else down the road.
Chris, you were in that movie too, right?
Which one?
Was it Paying Mr. McGetty?
Paying Mr. McGetty? No, she was in Martial Art Kid.
The Martial Arts Kid, yes.
Right. That was the other one he did right before that.
Okay.
But the truth of the matter is, Don is coming along doing some great movies, and he was great in Paying Mr. McGetty. I think he did a phenomenal role. And a lot of people are looking at Don as being the actor he is and being also the ass kicker, kickboxer that he is. Because I've been there. I can tell you a fast, quick story. One of the events that I promoted that Don fought, nobody knew except for 3 people. Don came into the fight with 2 broken ribs. Nobody knew it, okay? Because it was $30,000, payoff. So Don just came in. He said, "I'm fighting. I'm not going to not go in." He came in the ring, covered his rib the whole fight. He wound up winning the last round. It was the most unbelievable shot I've ever seen in my life. So Don is what they really call a warrior. There's nobody that I could say could fight like that because people would have canceled that fight. Broken ribs.
You know what we're going to do, Alan? We're going to take a quick break because I'm going to take 30 seconds. I want people to see what Don can do. So everyone just hang on a second, and we're going to do something.
Don is just one of the nicest. Don is just one of the nicest guys too. So not only a great record, but just a great guy. I mean, I never see anyone talk bad about Don.
Only the jealous people, and unfortunately, a guy like Frank Dukes, he has nothing to be proven. I mean, there's not one thing this man has ever said that's been proven. You could say a lot of things in this world, but you got to back up what you say. So that was Don's thing. He says, if you got a record and you had 300 fights or something like that, and you knocked out all 300 people in the fight, there's something wrong there. It doesn't sound right. So guess what? Then you have to prove it. And if you can't prove it, there was some very big investigations going on over the years with Don.
What was the number 300?
Well, close to it.
But don't you get 300 pieces of the little army guys in a plastic bag?
Yeah, that's when he woke up. But anyway, Vinny wants to say something about that. Vinny, come on.
Come on,
I know
man,
he knows Don very well, too.
I not only, anybody that's ever watched the PK or kickboxing knows who Don is. He's a legitimate champion, legitimate warrior all the way. But out of the many martial artists we met, a couple people, he is definitely in the top 1% of human beings. But as far as he'll stop and talk to somebody, and he'll share all his time and just totally give this guy all his time and information. Just some kid comes up and sees him, and I mean, he's just this giving, great. I've never heard a bad word come out of his mouth. No. And when I saw that posted, and the way he was saying that, and I know both of them, obviously, all of us do, but that really, why Don? Why Don?
Yeah.
I mean, guy does nothing but good.
Because he questioned a record that you have on your Facebook and you have on your regular account, your Facebook account and your regular account, and it's for everyone else to see. So if someone just looked it up and questions it, you shouldn't be upset with that. You really should.
Promoting that you're doing things. It's like Christine. If you are who you are, you've done what you've done. If somebody asks, and hey, did you really do that? I did it. Look at the video. Yeah. And in that case, that's not there.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not.
And we were at Dr. Bob's event in Vegas at the A4 event.
Joe, you got something to say, Joe. I know you do.
We were at the A4 event, Dr. Bob's
event. Go ahead, Vince. Vince, go ahead. Say your story first.
Go ahead, Joe.
Look, we're not, when we
talk
about
we were at the A4 event, I walked in, and Frank and his wife had come walking by. So Frank and his wife had come walking by, and I'm walking with James Wilson on the way in. And Frank stops to say, hey, Vinny, how you doing? Hey, Frank. And James keeps walking. And I turn to say, hey, didn't you guys know each other, don't you? And James just keeps walking. He don't even stop. And Frank goes, yeah, I know James. And then I catch up to James. I'm like, James, what? You know Frank? He goes, yeah, I know Frank. You know he's full of shit, right? I was like, what?
But that's
I'm just saying hello. I had no idea.
But Vinny, that's what you get out of 99% of the people that know Frank. The same reaction. Okay, Joe, I just want to get back to you. Let's just get back to you because we have Christine here, and I just want to do the proper introduction. We have one of the greatest female fighters. She wasn't just a forms person; she was in there fighting, just like our guest last week. And the first time I met Christine, I don't know where I was. I was at a tournament, and I saw this girl. She had I don't remember, a haircut with her hair curled down under a little bit. And all of a sudden, I seen this axe kick. He landed it. And I just went, oh, my God. Now, me being a little stupid at the time, I didn't know who she was because I didn't follow and ask any other groups. But I did hear her name before, and all of a sudden, I saw this axe kick. And that was it for me. I knew this was one of the greatest women fighters that's ever come along. And guess what? I think Christine would have fought some of the guys, too, over the years. She had no problem with that. So I do want to welcome you onto the show, Christine. We'd say our little things before, and we'll definitely get back to it. Believe me, we're not leaving this thing. But I just want to say, Christine, it's an honor to have you.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
You people have become friends over the years, you and your husband. My wife loves your husband. Every time she was giving him hair products, she was, I got hair products. So that was, remember those hair products, Vinny?
The Paul Mitchell, right?
Yeah.
But they're very well supported by the team and everything they do, and they run a great tournament. I say one thing about her husband. I wish he was around. I don't know if he's in the building or not. If he is, we'd like to bring him on too with you. But I call him poetry in motion, and Christine has a lot to do with what Don does because they synchronize wonderfully. But Don runs a tournament, and Don puts his nose to the grindstone, and that tournament between Christine and Don is done. Normal amount of time, no bullshit, no crap. It's done. And people call me all the time, and they say, we need someone to run it. I always go, hold on. He's the best. You're not going to find better. And, of course, you're part of that team, so, you do well together. But I'm not going to hold you too much because I know you people personally, and we've hung out many times over the years. But we got to bring Wikipedia Joe. We call him Tempo Joe, but we call him Wikipedia. And I will tell you, if you could stump him, You can stump him. I'll buy you dinner at the next event. Anyway, let's bring on Christine. Joe's going to ask you a couple questions, talk to you. He's gonna grill you. Let's put it that way.
Oh boy.
Okay, there you go. Go Rebello. It's all yours.
Okay, well, first of all, for those people who are watching the show, and you gentlemen as well, you may or may not realize Christine and I have known each other for over 40 years. I've known Christine since she started on the tournament circuit. I'm very thankful and grateful for her. Her and Don have had me as announcers on the Ocean State Grand National Karate Championships as an announcer for their nighttime show. And, of course, Christine's event, the Junior Nationals. And I'm very thankful and indebted to both of them, and especially Christine. Excuse me, little post-COVID cough. But, we even tested for various degrees of black belt under Ed Parker back in 1989. And, I was very thankful that I competed in Crane and the PKL. And Don and Christine were instrumental in helping me with my tournament career. I'm eternally grateful. And you mentioned about Don. Actually, Don and Christine had introduced me to Ed Catucci, who was running a television program called Championship Kickboxing, who, by the way, was the manager for Don the Dragon Wilson. You bet. So, Christine, it's great to be able to talk to you. Great to be able to talk to you about the highlights of your career. I was digging through my archives. I said, what am I going to pull out as far as different? I said, I had so many magazines and whatnot. But, the first question I always ask, again, excuse me, how did you begin in the martial arts? How did this all start for you?
I just started with a girlfriend. It was an after-school activity. I was doing figure skating. I did gymnastics. I played softball. I played basketball. Pretty much tried everything. Enjoyed sports, but there was nothing that really, hit home and I just really fell in love with. I mean, I just kept trying everything, and I like to socialize with my friends and participate with them. And she asked me if I wanted to start karate, and it was a private school, and it was later my husband. But Bannon-Rodrigues, he had a private school that he was teaching. So my girlfriend's brother was studying. And so it wasn't with a building with a sign on and you can call and get information. It was kind of like you had to know someone. So, I decided to join with her, and, probably within a year she had quit, and I ended up staying with it, and, here I am. So.
Now that was in Okiru Kempo with, again, the Great Ocean System. Again, many people outside of Rhode Island aren't familiar with it. But again, it's a system that actually, if I'm not mistaken, Don's brother was instrumental in the creation of it. Am I right by that? My husband was more of the creator on that. They taught together at the very beginning, and then they kind of split ways, and Don created this system along with Nick Serio's assistance. And it's Okiru, which stands for open system, open. And so it's not only the Kempo, but he has, a lot of the jujitsu moves with the wrist locks and different moves, the judo with the throwing and the kung fu that he also had learned. So it's a lot of, try to take the best from everyone, but it's mostly a Kempo based system. Next question I have is, again, from way back when, remember your early tournament career through Spider Brand and Bernie Ringette. And I can never forget for the rest of my natural life how you stood out at tournaments with this bright yellow canary uniform. Never forget this. Talk to me about how you got involved in tournaments and also that famous uniform.
Well, I just got involved, as an underbelt competing. The Ocean State was my first tournament. I was 13, and back then you could compete in the adult division if you were a kid. There was no laws and regulations like that, where you could never do that now at 13. But at 13 I was probably the size I am now. I competed in the junior, or I don't think it was Pee-wee, I think it was junior division with the boys for forms. And then when it came time for fighting, 13-year-old boys are probably quite big, depends if they've hit that growth spurt. So, my instructor said, why don't you go in the women's division? And back then it was women all ranks. So I was an orange belt, and I ended up, if you remember Larry Kelly, who was a great fighter from, may he rest in peace, but a great fighter from New England. It was his wife that I fought, and she was a black belt. So that was my first experience competing. And, just from that point forward, I just, really started to enjoy competition more so when I was more of a brown belt and black belt. I really got into it. And then it was very motivating for me to be able to see my name in the ratings. So when Karate Illustrated was doing the ratings and it was Region 12 was New England, my goal was to be, number one in New England. And, I achieved that. But then I wanted to be number one in forms, fighting, and weapons, which was tough because the forms and weapons were with the men on the ratings. So, we had some great people in there, Brian Ritchie and Javon Holmes and Richard Brandon, just, some great competitors out there. So, I did achieve that. And then I set goals of trying to be number one in the country and started traveling the national circuit. And from that point, I ended up going to the World Championships. And at my first World Championships, I won 1 gold and a bronze, but I fell in love with it because it was, the national anthem and the flag coming down behind you and standing on that podium. And, when you're dealing with 80 or 90 different countries with WACO, it was just amazing. It was the closest thing to the Olympics. And right. I mean, it's our Olympics, so it was awesome. And I just said, I'm going to go back and win 3 gold medals. I want to do that. I want to win it in all 3 categories. And I did that. And when I went back, and then there was a lot of snickering and, that I was just lucky and, that could never, ever happen again. And so got me mad. So I went back and did it again. And I don't think anyone's broke the record still, Laszlo Gambos, who's a member of Team Paul Mitchell, he actually just beat my record for having got his 10 gold medals. So his last time he competed, he won a 10th gold medal. So he broke my record as far as totals, but I don't think anyone's won a gold in forms, fighting, and weapons at the WACO Worlds yet. So,
and I've gone to a couple of the main events from WACO, and you guys did a great job all the time. I was proud. The Americans did very well. Quite a few.
Yes.
I think was it was the other hotel, Taj Mahal, that you had to walk on that at that time.
Right.
That was a really great show. I remember me, Joe Lewis, and a bunch of us were there. Good. Just want to go back now, Vinny. I know you said that you saw the thing happen with Don and his brother and everything with Frank Dukes. What did you feel about that at that time?
The Frank Dukes is a name. People recognize his name. He draws. You know his name.
Yeah.
You know the movie Bloodsport. Yeah. That influenced martial artists, right, wrong, or indifference. He had an influence on the martial arts. Some kids out there started martial arts. Why isn't that enough?
Yeah. Well, the reason why I asked you that question, I wanted to ask you that question because I know.
Yeah.
We talk about someone that's been around the tournament circuit almost a whole life. Was Christine Bannon and her husband? Okay, Christine, did you ever see Frank Dukes fight?
No.
Not to put you on the spot, but you've been around everywhere, all over the world. You never saw him fight, and that was the main thing that Don said. Don Wilson would say, and never saw the guy fight. How do you become with these records and stuff? So I just want to put this in so people that do leave the show and they'll hear what I'm saying. We're looking to do on our Amen channels coming up. We have a 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week martial art channel coming up very soon, and about a month or 2 after that, with Dennis and I. He's not here tonight. He was supposed to be, but he was driving all night. But we're going to be having a pay-per-view. So I've made a claim that if Frank Dukes does come onto the show, we'll do it on pay-per-view. We'll give him half of the door. If anyone that comes on, and he's allowed to bring 2 people on with him, back his stories up. I will also bring Sheldon Lennox, and I will also bring Don Wilson on. So it should be a real fun event. Now, again, not saying anything bad, indifferent. All it is about a show about proof. Just like Lou showed the video of Don. Okay. Lou, you want to run that video of Frank Dukes?
I would. I just don't. I don't have that little phantom crystal ball. I don't know if you have footage, share it with us. We'll play it on here. I can show Jean-Claude Van Damme.
I know.
But then again, what does that mean?
That's what I'm trying to say. So everything we do is going to be about proof.
But he made a point that when you do something and you have that much of an impact, shouldn't that be enough? Some people hang on to something that they've done 30, 40 years ago, and they try to make it bigger than what it is. You had an impact.
No, I totally understand. And you got to sell, and you got to make hype. You got to make your name. I get it. You got to keep it out there. I get it. But a guy like Don Wilson, he's so high up there. I wouldn't even answer a guy that there's no. It's like questioning a master. Who you just walked in the dojo? Who are you to question that guy? He's put his whole life into this.
Well, the funny thing about it that Mr. Duke said something that Don is not part of the inner circle of martial arts. Don is not part of that inner circle. I don't know who the hell is. But anyway, that's what my shows will be about.
That he's not a part of the inner circle.
I don't want to interrupt, but here's a man. We talk about Don Wilson's film career. Okay, we talk about B movies. Now, this is just when Entertainment Weekly writes an entire article about your career and uses as the byline the king of the B action movies. Not just he's done like a couple here and there. It's like at that time he was it. He did more action films than anyone else, than Jean-Claude Van Damme, than Chuck Norris. He had done an incredible allotment and a body of work relation to action films.
Okay. Our segue into talking about films is now you get the chance to talk about Christine's films.
Yeah.
Well, I had one question before that, because I remember Christine, when you were doing weapons forms and you decided to enter Wacko in the open tournaments and go into weapons division, Kenpo is not a system renowned for its weaponry. So I remember the days when you would go train with Yao Li, and you picked 2 very distinct weapon forms. And Sifu Goldberg, having studied 5 animal style Shaolin before he went into Wing Chun, you didn't just pick any weapons. You picked the double hook swords, and you picked the broadsword and 9-section whip combination. You picked like what we jokingly say in wushu circles, you pick what the crazy people use. We always say, who's the nut job? The nut job's the guy who does whip chain and rope dart. Those are the nuts. They don't care. Talk to me about those choices.
Well, just like with the yellow uniform, I like to be different. I don't like to be out there. You got like every other person doing the bow or the commas or something like that. I like to just try something different and stand out, and to do it well. So, I tried the double hook swords, and, I just thought it was a very cool weapon, very intricate. You got kind of like 3 weapons in one with the hook swords, and then, doing anything double, we all learn when you're trying to keep everything in sync at the same speed, you start to learn that, okay, one arm is a lot faster than the other. And, you really have to get that coordination going. So after doing several different double weapons, like the double broadswords and stuff, that's when I decided to do the whip chain and broadsword that Sifu Yao Li taught me as well. And that was really cool, because not only did you have 2 weapons that you had to keep in sync with each other, but one was kind of a short range weapon and one's a long range, and you still had to keep the speed. And, I thought it was pretty intricate and a good challenge for me. And I thought it was impressive as a judge watching a competitor. If you can do it good, you have that advantage.
Not too
And
many
also,
other
it makes
people I've
one
ever
hell of a
seen do that.
poster, right? You get
Yeah.
the right shot.
Not too many other people I've ever seen do that. And
No.
if they did do it, they didn't do it as well as you. You really, really did a wonderful job with that.
Thank
Joe,
you.
it's all yours. Hit us up,
Well,
Joe.
One of
We
the
gotta stump
funniest
you
lines
tonight.
your husband ever said. We were at a tournament and you were doing the whip chain broadsword form, and of course the famous position where you either lay prone or sit, and you literally spin the whip chain underneath you. And so of course they asked, so Don, did you teach her that form? And of course, Don being Don sat there. Now with my luck, I'd spin it and I get the thing stuck in my butt. And I'm like going, it's Don. But you know, a little while ago, you mentioned about a mutual friend who passed away a few years ago, Richie Brandon. And you, Richie Brandon, and another fellow competitor from Connecticut who I can actually say this. I was a black belt when he was a blue belt, he and Nguyen. You were all involved in an incredible series from 4Kid Productions and Fox Network, WMAC Masters. Talk to me about how you got involved in that TV series and some of your fond memories of that show.
Well, Pat Johnson is the one that had asked me to, if I was interested in being part of the show. And, I think it was a great concept that they had, and they used true champions, like they had Herb Perez, who was an Olympic gold medalist, and Lynette Love from Taekwondo as well. And you had Bridget Riley, who did kickboxing, and myself in sport karate, Hakeem Alston, Carmichael Simon, Chris Casamassa, Mike Renato, Bam Johnson. So, the list was long of and most of us knew each other, and we all had true credentials. So it was a lot of fun filming with each other. It wasn't my first thing. My first thing was doubling on the Karate Kid movie was the first thing I did in film work, and doubling Hilary Swank. But this show came along, and I just said, oh, this just sounds so cool. I want to do it. And it's amazing how many people to this day that say, that show is what got me involved in the martial arts, or that inspired me to start martial arts or start my kids in martial arts. And I still hear it to this day. And, you don't hear that about, Batman and Robin or the Karate Kid movie. It's just that particular show is just a hot show on the Fox network. So it was a lot of fun.
They tried to bring it back, didn't they?
I think they wanted to try to, but I haven't had any kind of luck with it right now.
I heard a lot of fluttering of that for a while. But
yeah.
Nothing about him. Well, I think you had a great group of champions, and that was the main thing. I think the chemistry was right.
Yes, it was.
Go on, Joe.
Now, again, last week we had Kathy Long on the show, and she mentioned about her experiences working in the Batman film. And for those of you watching here on Vero Hive or on YouTube, in one of the issues of Action Martial Arts Magazine, we featured, or I should say, Mr. Goldberg, Sifu Goldberg, featured you in your full outfit, doubling for Alicia Silverstone in Batman and Robin. Tell us about your experiences working on that film.
That was a very cool movie to work on. Just such a high budget. Coming from the East Coast, from little Rhode Island, I was flown out there just for a fitting. And when I'm getting driven from this place to that place to get fitted in this bat outfit, the one person I went to that fit me for the leather boots and the gloves, I'm hearing everything, and he basically made like every outfit Michael Jackson wore and all these people, just like so extremely. And when I want to say it fit like a glove, I mean, these things were fit to my foot exactly. The stilettos were like 4-inch stilettos because Uma Thurman was the other actress that played Poison Ivy, and she's very tall. And Cheryl Wheeler, may she rest in peace, was the person that was doubling for Uma. So, and Cheryl's tall too, and so I had to wear these huge heels to be able to be kind of close to them. But it was a great movie to do, and me and Cheryl, we got to hang out and really get to know each other. We knew each other before, but we really got got to be really good friends on the movie, and it was just a lot of fun working with everybody. And and I was able to actually work with Alicia Silverstone and Uma. My big story was Uma does the knife thing, and she takes the knife and poison ivy, and she like checks herself out in the reflection in the knife, so it was a close up. So the knife is in the whole fight scene, but then they wanted to get that close up of her, so they said, the director said about me kicking it out of her hand, and they're like, please don't hurt her. I'm like, that's a piece of cake. I will kick the knife out of her hand and I won't touch her. No problem, but that was pretty cool to be able to do something like that with some great actors and actresses in the movie.
I didn't know if you ever were told this, but Alicia Silverstone was so taken working on that film and working with you and Cheryl Wheeler that she decided to study Taekwondo and studied for years in California. And she gives you credit for getting involved in Taekwondo, and you were one of the inspirations for getting involved in martial arts.
Joe, where do you get your information, man? Where do you get your information?
I know.
You have mics in people's bathrooms.
I ask people. I hear things. I keep it. I remember stuff I don't want to remember.
You and Don's tournament were in the first place. I met Joe Rubello.
Yep.
And I had to tell you, I did not like things Joe was telling me at the time. And I didn't know myself. But anyway, so now you know something. But Joe finds these little things he remembers them. So kind of unusual.
Get over them. By the way, hey, since we're talking about him tonight, we also have to mention who else was in the film. Though it's very difficult because he's under neon face paint in a gang scene. Is Don the Dragon Wilson? He's in the film as well. And a lot of people don't realize it because he's all painted up and whatnot. So you don't find out unless you really know what you're looking for till the end credits. You're like going, hey, Don Wilson's in this movie,
Yeah.
7 Shades of Don Wilson. Everywhere you turn, it's Don Wilson, right?
Yeah, but meanwhile, he didn't do much in Hollywood, right? So
not at all.
There's something I posted on the Power Hour thing, and it had to do with bees and flies. That a bee can't explain to a fly why honey is better than crap because they won't understand. And that's the reality of it. If people don't understand, they're never going to understand. You can try to beat them over the head with it, but they won't get it.
Don's a king bee, that's for sure. Kenny, you want to say something?
Well, I was going to say, I always try to bring at least one photo. And Christine, we've got a photo from recent times, and but this is talking about a long-standing association. A lot of people, you've been in several magazines over the years, but there's one product line that you have been with and associated with for many years, and I'd like you to talk about it. And we have this photo right here.
Macho Products.
You have been in all kind of advertising. Matter of fact, one of the coolest things I ever saw was that huge fight scene in the warehouse where they superimpose and Photoshop all the fighters together. That thing rocks. I still have the poster around somewhere. I think that is one of the coolest things. Talk to us about how you got involved with Macho, how long you've been associated with Macho, and some of the highlights of your career. Because you literally, since the beginning, well, for many years have been featured every single one of their catalogs. Tell us about your association with Macho.
Well, back in, I think it was 1990, it was my first time that we worked together. They asked me about, I was the number one fighter at the time and, had gone undefeated for, I think it was 13 months or something like that on the circuit. And they're more a sparring company as far as, they do carry everything, but they're known for their sparring, and they asked me about doing a photo shoot with them. So I was like, sure, and so I went down to Florida and we did a photo session right on the beach, and it was really cool. And they came out with this new splash gear, and they also had the USA stars and stripes and stuff. So that was my first time working with them. And from that point forward, continued, we had a great relationship. We worked together as far as if I can give them input on how to create or make equipment better, so it better fits, it's better, better for the protection. They're a very strong company as far as wanting good safety. So they won't throw something out there if they don't feel it's safe. They'll test it. And I've really enjoyed working with the company. They sell uniforms and all the gear and weapons and different things like that. But, I've been not only just a model, but helping them create products and also a spokesperson for them. And then most recently, probably going on like 5 years now, but I, go around the circuit, and because we run a big national tournament, and I'm at all the national tournaments and helping judge or help run things. And, I just said, what? We should be putting a Team Macho out there again, because we had one years and years ago. So I had, created this Team Macho that I coach. So I have my own team. Don has his team, Paul Mitchell, that I, used to be part of before I retired. So, we both have two different teams going on and stuff, but it's a lot of fun, and it's nice to see the kids, really enjoy being part of something, being part of a group. Because a lot of kids will compete. They'll be the only person from their school out there competing, and they don't have that support and that camaraderie or that, having a coach there to speak up for you and if you have a problem. So I'm really enjoying being the coach on the coach side of the competition. It's different.
Give us some names of the people you have competing on the team.
I have Cody and Michael Molina. I have Riker Weaver. And I have Anthony Zangari, Ashley Zachary, Gavin Richmond, Catherine Tian. And my son Dante was on the team at the beginning, but he's kind of following in Mom's footsteps and getting involved in a lot of film work. So he's really been busy.
Excellent.
Really been busy filming, and he's in the union now and stuff. So he's doing a lot of work here now that they've started filming again after all this COVID stuff. But
don't take your yellow uniform, please. Can't have that. Can't have that stuff.
I know.
But I remember your son when he was doing something in Manhattan. We were in the city. Michael DePasquale Jr. Everybody was there, and he was performing there in the middle of a crowd. And he's bouncing around and everything. And the kid was talented there then at that moment. That was many years ago, and today he must be phenomenal. That was your
Urban Action Show.
Right.
Yep. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, Christine, let me just ask you something. I know, again, Don and you have been personal friends of ours for years, but when I invited you to my first show, what did you think it was going to be, and where did it turn out today?
Oh, it has grown so much from that first time I went. And, it was so cool to meet new people there and to see old friends like, Bill Wallace and Don Wilson and Cynthia and, just different people that don't go to all the tournaments anymore because they're doing their own thing, filming and do whatever profession that they're doing. So it was just really cool to see that. But I mean, the event has just grown so much. I mean, like even the Friday night, the little wine and cheese. Yeah, it's not. No, I mean, it's like jam packed and the dance floor is going and it's crazy. And yeah, I mean, it's just turned into such a huge mega event and it's so much fun. I mean, I just really love going there and just being able to hang out with everybody and spend time and answer. I have so many people that I've seen every single year that they're like regulars and they'll be like, oh, I need my 2020, autograph picture or 2021 and that they get one every year and they come by and talk and visit. And then there's just people that you just meet for the first time and you've had a lot of international people coming in now and that's really cool. I really enjoy seeing people from other countries and we're all one big family, the martial arts, but when you meet martial artists from other parts of the world, I think it's pretty cool.
We have 38 countries this year already coming. I think we're going to hit 40, maybe 45 countries. I just want to mention also about our event coming up in Russia. It's going to be in Moscow, 2023. We're also thinking about doing something in Istanbul, 2024. Something else is down the road. I've been ready.
So this is in addition to your January event.
Right.
It would be another one.
It won't be even place. It'll be an addition to the event. I'll only be able to do one extra year. But the international thing has brought a lot of flavor to different things that people want. They want more. I mean, I literally on the computer, I get international from Facebook every day. 1 or 2 countries contact me. So I'm pretty excited. And you know, my event started off, and I had to be honest with you, I had no idea what the hell I was doing. I learned very fast, though, and I realized what the event became. It became like an old Holmes week, like just people getting together again. And that's one of the most important things that makes me proud, that we're able to bring good people together, just have a good time. You know, I mean, I'm the one that's got to work, but everyone else has a good time.
Alan, I got to say that year on year, the event gets better and better. And the one thing about you is from the first time that I went, you know, and going, you know, what, a decade and a half, maybe more later, you know, the bottom line is that you haven't changed how you do things. You haven't changed what you do, okay, and how you treat people and how you make it run. And I think that that's phenomenal. And this is why you get the international, you know, contingent wanting to be there, because you created an environment where everyone can go and feel at home. You go there, you're home. And that's what it comes down to.
Here's a quiz for next week's show. Who never got an invitation to the Action Martial Art All About? That's all I'll say.
Oh.
Well, as a promoter, I can totally appreciate the hard work that gets involved with the event behind the scenes. Everyone sees everything working so smooth and beautiful, but they don't understand how many glitches happen behind the scenes, and you're scrambling to get things underway. So I totally can just imagine the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. And another thing is, being a promoter is, as you go year after year after year, a lot of your staff remain the same, and they get better and better, and they know, they know their job and how to do things. So, I mean, everything runs so smooth because you've had a lot of the same people involved helping. So, you know, behind the scenes, it's definitely, it's a great event. I just really enjoy going, and so bummed that we missed this year, and
I know
with this whole COVID thing.
Besides the real reason, there's always another reason. We're going to make this one bigger coming up. So
yes, absolutely.
But
we had to cancel our event too because of the whole COVID. But we're doing it virtual this coming weekend, and you know, it's kind of cool doing it virtual because people from all over the world can compete and not have to pay the travel expense.
A film that I'm still trying to find a DVD, by the way. That's an outright plug. Champions of the Deep. I actually saw it in its limited release in Rhode Island in the theaters, and always wanted to get a copy of it. And that's a whole new role for you in regards to that. How did all that come about?
Don, my husband Don and Baxter were considered producers of the movie. And, it was, they asked me to be the fight choreographer. And, I had some great talent with Tyler Weaver and Caitlin Deschelle. And, now she's doing mega movies, she's stunt doubling on huge films. And my son Dante was in the film as well. And Dana Ewer and Keith Hirabayashi, or Keith Cook, was in it. So it was, my stepson Christopher was in it. It was a lot of fun working with talented people, but it was totally different being on the opposite side of the camera and trying to tell them, what we were looking for, and this big fight scenes and different things. And it was a fun movie, and I thought it came out pretty good. It's, still, I don't know what they're doing with it as far as still being in the can and stuff. And, we did do the previews, had the red carpet event with the movie and stuff, and it came out very well, but that happens sometimes.
The legend says that the sword was lost in a great battle over the oceans years and years ago.
Who was fighting?
Let's just say those who help against those who harm.
I told you there wasn't Atlantis.
She's a knight of Atlantis, sworn to protect our oceans. This sword is called Aquavir, Sword of the Sea.
Her name is Calico, and we have to help her bring the Sword of the Sea back to the ocean.
Only then can the waters of Earth be balanced again. Remember, never give up.
Never give up. Never give up!
The battle has begun. You are not gonna get that sword.
And I just want to do a little round robin. I wish Vince was here, but we'll get him back. Joe, last words?
Yeah, Christine, thank you. Thank you. Thank you for taking this no-name TV guy and putting him to do the nighttime finals for your junior national tournament. Thank you for, Ed Parker story, 1989. I watched her demonstrate in front of Mr. Parker, and I'm figuring, okay, she's going to do stuff from Oki-Ru Kempo. And no, she's doing Ed Parker techniques. She wanted to make sure, Don wanted to make sure that she was doing his material, that they could show him that they were learning his system and demonstrating in front of the founder of American Kempo.
No, I'm very, very excited to be part of the show tonight. I miss Jeff. Sad that he didn't make it here, but thank you so much, Alan, for inviting me on, and of course inviting us to your big event every year. We love going there, and Don would have been on here tonight with me, but he's not traveling back and forth to the school because he just had his hip replacement, so he's home recovering, and I have to go home and cook some dinner for him.
All right. Anyway, folks, we want to thank everyone for coming. We want to thank our sponsors, Vero Hive and Lou, for taking care of us every week. Don Warner Enterprises. Also, I want to mention something. Karate Cares, it's an organization by Larry Barr, and we gave out our first sponsorship already. We have $500 to someone. We won't mention who it is. We did our first one, went out to someone already, and we're going to plan every month to try to give out a little money to someone else that really needs it. So anyway, signing off. Thank you, everyone, for being here. A great show again. We're going to have some more fun down the road, folks. I'm not going to push it, but we're going to have some fun. All right, folks. God bless everyone. Thank you for being here.